It's D-U-E-U till I see you by this point. You're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today will be all about the Motor City, the Detroit Lions, as we start to prepare for the 2021 NFL season. We'll take a look at some training camp quick hits, as well as some reasons for optimism and causes for concern, in addition to our offensive and defensive positional breakdowns. But first, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Lions season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The Detroit Lions are bringing in a new head coach this year and former Lion tight end Dan Campbell. Now, Campbell has been coaching in the NFL since 2010, most recently with the New Orleans Saints for the last 5 years, where he was the assistant head coach and tight ends coach. Prior to that, from 2010 to 2015, he was with the Miami Dolphins as their tight end coach, and his name became mentioned for head coaching jobs since taking over the Dolphins' job as an interim coach back in 2015, where he led that team to a 5-7 record. That particular team played much better down the stretch under his tutelage, which nearly had him become the permanent guy down there in South Florida. He's known for being a player's coach and is able to garner the respect of the guys he's around, both players and coaches, which is an excellent trait to have in order to be a successful head coach. Hiring Dan Campbell was the first order of business for new general manager Brad Holmes, who comes over from the Los Angeles Rams, where he was the director of college scouting since 2013. Now, he'd been a scout with the Rams since 2003, and his job is to restore the roar, so to speak, to that Lions organization, helping keep that roster talented and competitive. If judging by his first draft is of any indication, then the Lions hit a home run with Holmes. Known as a great talent evaluator, he should have the Lions in position to be successful for the long haul. Sticking with the theme of new here, also coming with GM Brad Holmes, is the quarterback he played a role in drafting in Jared Goff. Now, Goff is at a bit of a crossroads in his career as he's trying to shake the stigma of being, quote, not good enough that fairly or unfairly got slapped on him while he was with LA. Now, he's definitely seen his fair share of ups and downs so far in his career and hopes the fresh start in Detroit will go a long way in changing the perspective around the former #1 overall pick. And finally, we'll obviously see a whole new coaching staff in place, but let's focus on the new defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn, the longtime NFL cornerback and also New Orleans Saints assistant coach. He may have the toughest job of them all, as he'll be asked to transform a defense that was 32nd last year in total defense and played as bad as you'd expect a 32nd defense to play. Glenn, like Campbell, is known as the type of coach that is able to get the most out of players, and this is his first opportunity as a coordinator. And if he's able to turn this unit around, he'll become a head coach in no time. Jared Goff, on paper, has an impressive resume. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, completed over 63% of his passes, 107 touchdowns to only 55 interceptions, gotten his team to the playoffs 3 times, won a couple of playoff games, and has gotten his team to a Super Bowl, compiling a 42-27 record in the process. Not bad for a guy that's, quote, not good enough. I mean, if we're keeping it all the way 100, his resume is a hell of a lot better than the guy that was traded for him or traded away for him. So with that being said, the on-paper resume just doesn't always equate to what we actually see out there on the field, which is why the perception of Goff is different than that of Matt Stafford. However, they are both one and the same. Guys that you can win with, but will need a lot of help around them to get far into the postseason or even win a Super Bowl. The Lions have the offensive line and run game in place, in my opinion, but the receiving core is a work in progress, and we'll see how that affects Goff's play, or if he can shake that narrative and help elevate the play of those wide receivers with his accuracy and decision making. Here is where I'm most excited about this Lions offense. They have a good stable of backs and will look to run the offense through those guys this upcoming season. DeAndre Swift should be in line for a breakout 2021 campaign. He's a shifty, dynamic back that will benefit from being a featured guy this year. And in free agency, they added Jamal Williams from the Green Bay Packers, who will serve in a complementary role, which he handled really well out there in Green Bay. And rookie 7th round pick Jamar Jefferson was an underrated pick by Detroit. as he has good vision, good balance, and burst to be a chunk playmaker in his offense and will find a way to get some minutes within the rotation. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, this is a work in progress type situation with Detroit at wide receiver. Gone are Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, and in comes Tyrell Williams and Brashard Perriman, as well as Khalif Raymond. Now, Raymond could factor in as a returner considering he's excelled there with both the Giants and Titans, but the team looks at both Perriman and Williams as starters on the outside. Perriman is coming off just an okay season, and Williams didn't play at all last year. I wouldn't count out second-year player Quintez Cephas and rookie fourth-round pick Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC. Cephas is a solid possession option that could give them a bigger presence inside, and St. Brown can play across the board. He's a savvy route runner that has above-average run-after-the-catch skills. So this will be an interesting position to watch all throughout training camp and in the preseason. Hopefully the Lions can get Hunter Bryant back at some point during the season as he's on the non-football injury list, but for now, it's TJ Hawkinson's opportunity to be that co-number-1 option in the passing game. He finished second on the team in receptions and yards last year while also scoring 6 touchdowns. The expectation is for him to continue to progress in 2021. And in free agency, Darren Fells was signed from the Houston Texans as a solid insurance policy at the tight end number 2 spot because you don't know when you're going to get Hunter Bryant back, so why not add someone that has the receiving chops that scores the ball like Fells does at the position. Detroit got significantly better up front along the offensive line with the drafting of Penei Sewell out of Oregon. He's a plug-and-play guy on the right side for the Lions, which should help immediately bolster their run game. Center Frank Ragnow and tackle Taylor Decker are top-tier players, with Ragnow coming off of a Pro Bowl season, and I'm excited for Jonah Jackson, the second-year player out of Ohio State, as I think he should have a breakout year. He's a dominant player in the run game and hard to get walk back in pass protection. Right guard will be a battleground spot with Halapoulivaati Vaitai and the second-year player Logan Stenberg, but keep an eye out for Stenberg, who didn't play at all last season, but he's a rock-solid run blocker. And Vaitai is looking to have a bounce-back season as he was a high-priced free agent acquisition last year. And I've always been a fan of Tyrell Crosby, who's a valuable swing player as a reserve player that can start some if need be. He and Dan Skipper will provide good depth up front along with Evan Brown. 2 undrafted rookie free agents in Tommy Kramer out of Notre Dame and Drake Jackson of Kentucky have a legitimate chance to make the roster and add to this depth as well. Last season, defensive end Romeo Okwara finished with 10 sacks, and the next best number was 3.5. So obviously, the Lions want to figure out a way to increase those numbers across the board. Trey Flowers is looking to find his groove, as he's been just decent during his time in Detroit, not the game-breaking presence that they need coming off the corner. Austin Bryant has talent, but has to find a way to stay healthy in order to realize it, and Deshaun Hand has to find that edge that he had as a rookie. So outside of Okwara, there are a lot of questions regarding the defensive ends for the Lions. They are much better on the interior, in my opinion, especially after drafting both Levi Onwuzurike out of Washington and Alim McNeil out of NC State in the 2021 NFL Draft. Both guys were my number 2 defensive tackle and number 1 nose tackle, respectively, and should help bolster this 28th run defense immediately. The team also traded for Michael Brockers from Los Angeles, which should also help with the interior. Second-year player John Penasini figures to improve after getting valuable starts last season, but there's a lot of work to be done up front for Detroit. This will more than likely be a new look group of backers this year for the Lions. Hopefully what we saw last season from Jelani Tavai toward the back end of 2020 will carry over into 2021, as I thought he showed some improvements. However, he may be pushed by 4th-round pick Derek Barnes out of Purdue, who has good instincts, good burst, and is an explosive tackler. It wouldn't surprise me to see him start alongside Jamie Collins and free agent signee Alex Anzalone from New Orleans. Collins gave them a good athlete on both ends of defense and may have to become more of a pressure player this season. Anzalone can play, but staying healthy has been his biggest bugaboo. Jalen Reeves-Maybin gives them a solid reserve and also one of their best core special teamers. All eyes will be on second-year corner Jeff Okudah this year to play a lot better, and I think that's definitely going to happen because, number 1, he's talented, and number 2, he has a great defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn who played the position that'll put him in position to be successful. Free agent Corn Elder was an important signing as he's an ascending player that should also hold down that slot corner role. Now on the other side, we'll see a battle between Amani Aruwariye and third-round rookie Ifeatu Melifonwu out of Syracuse. Melifonwu could even provide depth as a third safety option, but when you look at a healthy Quentin Dunbar at corner, he should help strengthen his unit as a whole and may even push for starts on the outside. But I would keep an eye out for two undrafted rookie free agents during camp, Jerry Jacobs out of Arkansas and AJ Parker out of Kansas State. They have some game with them and will make a lot of plays in practice, definitely raising some eyebrows. Tracy Walker to me is a solid safety and gives him a bit of a steady presence back deep. Will Harris may get pushed by Melifonwu, free agent signing Dean Marlowe, or even the athletic Bobby Price, who made the team last year as an undrafted free agent and was a special teamer. I would expect him to get a look-see at strong safety this year. One of the reasons for optimism for Detroit is the fact that they put together a strong coaching staff. Talking about Dan Campbell, he brought in Anthony Lynn as an offensive coordinator. We talked about Aaron Glenn as a DC. You also look at Mark Brunell coaching up the quarterbacks, Antoine Randall coaching up these wide receivers, and Deuce Staley was brought in as a running backs coach. And also, you can't forget about Dom Capers being a defensive assistant on this staff. So they've put together a strong coaching staff top to bottom with a lot of experience, a lot of playing experience, and that should transition well to the players out there on the field. The Lions also have a very good offensive line. We talked about adding Penei Sewell. They have good pros in Pro Bowler Frank Ragnow and future All-Pro Taylor Decker, along with what they're going to get from Jonah Jackson in his second season. So this is a very good offensive line that should pave the way for that good stable of backs that they have. This group of backs, DeAndre Swift, Jamar Jefferson, Jamal Williams, they can run past you, run around you, and even run through you. So there's a lot to be optimistic about if you're Detroit. The biggest cause for concern would be the receiving core. They're going to need to find someone to step up and be that bona fide #1 option out there on a perimeter. If they can't do that, that means a lot of the focus will go to the running backs, to the tight ends, but they need someone to step up out there on the perimeter. And where is the pass rush? Outside of Romeo Okwara, there's no one on this defensive line that can provide that consistent pressure. And that's an area where they're going to have to really find that next guy, that #2 option, and even raise the play of Okwara. So if that can't happen, Detroit could struggle on both sides of the ball. Now let's take a look at some training camp quick hits, and we'll start with our camp surprises on both sides of the ball. We talked about the wide receiver position. An undrafted rookie free agent, Sage Surratt, is a big body guy that's a contested catch maker, above the rim playmaker, all of those adjectives you like to throw out there for taller, bigger wide receivers that can win at the catch point. He's that and has a chance to fly up this depth chart. And keep an eye out for Devontae Beckett out of Marshall. He's a smallish linebacker, almost a safety type, a guy that probably will end up being a safety at the pro level, but he's going to be impactful on a lot of plays. He's going to wow at camp and has a chance to star in preseason games. Definitely is going to raise some eyebrows. Rookie impact players, you look at the offensive side, it's Penei Sewell, a guy that's going to be a plug-and-play guy on the right side. I know he said it's going to take a little bit of adjusting to getting used to being on the right side, but he should star from day one. And defensively, Derek Barnes, the linebacker, to me, is another one of these plug-and-play impactful players that they're going to see as rookies, and I do think he'll start in the middle for Detroit and make a lot of plays. Taking a look at some X factors offensively, quarterback Jared Goff, I believe this is, like I said earlier, a crossroads for his career. He has to come out and play well, and if he's able to play well, Detroit will be much better than expected in year one. And those defensive ends, we talked about it ad nauseum all throughout the show, if they can step up, provide that pressure, because they're going to be much improved on the interior, but if they can pay off with that interior pressure by getting to the quarterback on the outside, they'll have a chance to be successful as a defensive unit. Breakout players offensively, I like Logan Stenberg, the guard from Kentucky. He was drafted last year, didn't really play at all for Detroit, but I do think he'll be in a dogfight for that right guard spot, and I think he'll win because he's outstanding in the run game, and that's where they want to have success this season. And Jeff Okudah will have a breakout 2021 campaign. This is a talented cornerback, one that still has good ball skills and good instincts. Don't use the rookie season to judge him completely. Look for him to break out in 2021. The road to the Super Bowl for the Lions goes as follows. That defense has to improve significantly. I'm not talking about get the top 15. This has to be a top 10 or higher ranked defense. And Jared Goff has to keep the offense balanced. I know they want to run the football and run down your throat, but Jared Goff has to do his part and make sure the passing game gets respected. And that ties directly into the third point. That receiving core plays above expectations. Those guys are looking for redemption, have to step up and play really well to balance out the offense. And if that can happen, Detroit can get to the playoffs and make their way through. I have the Lions finishing 4th in the NFC North. I love the run game, love the offensive line. I still have concerns about the defensive side of football, more in particular, how will they get pressure? Also, in the secondary, there's some question marks there as well as far as personnel is concerned, and we don't know what we're going to get from the passing game, but I do know this. They have a great coaching staff in place, great front office in place. They're going to be foundationally built up front along the offensive line with that run game, so maybe 2022 is the breakout for Detroit. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.
It's D-U-E-U-Tell, I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.